So, I want you to picture this. It is 3 years ago.
Okay.
You are a small business owner, and it's 9 p.m. on a Thursday night.
Ouch.
Right? The office is completely dark except for that harsh glow of your computer screen. You were sitting at your desk and you were just totally buried under a mountain of paper invoices.
Oh, yeah.
You've got like a lukewarm, stale cup of coffee on one side of your keyboard.
The worst kind of coffee.
Exactly, the absolute worst. And a massive stack of manila folders on the other side. And you are spending your entire evening manually typing numbers, just vendor codes, line items, tax amounts, typing them from crinkled pieces of paper into some clunky accounting software.
Sounds miserable.
It is. Your eyes are crossing, your back aches, and every time you look up, the pile somehow just seems to have gotten bigger.
It always does.
Always. But that was the reality. That was the absolute grinding, everyday reality of running a business. But now, I really want you to contrast that image with today. Because right now, there are businesses where the owner is at home, sleeping soundly, or maybe, watching a movie on the couch with their kids.
Right.
And while they sleep, their business software is automatically opening emails. It's reading those exact same bills, checking them for errors, matching them to purchase orders, and scheduling the payments.
All silently.
Silently, instantly, and flawlessly. And I want to state this as clearly as humanly possible right at the top of our deep dive today. The businesses using AI are running circles around the ones that don't.
They really are. It is a totally different landscape out there now. And hearing that contrast, the 9 p.m. desk versus the movie on the couch, it really highlights what we are doing here today.
Yeah.
Welcome to SBAI, Service Business AI, where modern service businesses scale smarter with artificial intelligence.
So welcome, everyone. We are diving into a massive stack of industry reports, data analytics, real-world case studies, and they're all focused on one single thing, which is workflow automation.
Let's unpack it.
Right. Because our mission today is to figure out exactly how much time and exactly how much money AI is actually saving people in the real world.
And it's a lot.
It's a massive amount.
Yeah.
Because, look, if you are listening to this right now, you are probably hearing the buzzwords all the time. You hear about algorithms, you hear about digital transformation.
Machine learning.
Machine learning, exactly. On the news, in articles, everywhere. But our goal today is to completely strip away all of that intimidating tech talk. We are not going to read complicated market reports at you.
Nobody wants that.
No. We want to have a real grounded conversation about what this massive shift actually means for you, for your daily life, and for your business.
Exactly. And to do that, we need to start by looking at the big picture. We really need to understand the fundamental shift in how work actually gets done.
Yeah.
And to grasp what's changing, I think we have to look closer at that before and after story we just talked about.
The invoices.
Right, let's stick with that. Accounts payable example. The person paying the bills. Because the data we have on this specific task is just absolutely staggering. Let's look at the before, the painful reality of manual work. According to the industry data we are looking at today, an accounts payable clerk manually processing an invoice takes an average of 15 minutes per invoice.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you right there.
Sure.
15 minutes. That seems wildly high. I mean, if I am sitting at home paying my water bill, it takes me maybe 2 minutes on my phone. How on earth does it take a business 15 minutes to process one single piece of paper?
It sounds crazy, right? Until you break down the actual corporate friction involved, you have to think about the steps. It is not just clicking a Pay Now button on a slick website. First, the clerk has to actually receive the invoice.
Right.
Maybe it comes in the physical mail. So someone has to walk it over, open the envelope, flatten out the paper, or maybe it's an email attachment. So they have to open the email, download the PDF, save it to a highly specific folder on the shared drive.
Ah, the shared drive.
Yeah, we all love the shared drive. Then, they have to open their accounting software, they have to read the vendor's name off the document and manually type it into the system, they have to find the invoice number, type it in, the date, the line items, the tax, the total.
So there's just a lot of raw data entry.
A ton of data entry, but that isn't even the worst part. Here is where the real bottleneck happens. The routing for approval.
Oh, getting the signature.
Exactly. In a business, the clerk usually can't just authorize a $10,000 payment on their own. They have to route it to a manager. Historically, that meant printing the invoice out, physically walking it over to a manager's desk, and literally leaving it there.
In a little wire tray.
In the wire tray. Or in the digital era, attaching it to an email and sending it to the manager. Now, that manager is busy doing their actual job, so that invoice just sits in their inbox. Or it literally sits under a coffee mug on their physical desk for 3 days.
Right, they forget about it completely.
Completely.
Why?
So the clerk has to follow up. They have to go, hey, did you look at that invoice from the plumbing supplier? Finally, the manager signs it, sends it back, and the clerk then has to file the physical document in a giant metal cabinet or drag the digital file into a permanent archive.
Wow.
So because of all these friction points, the waiting, the typing, the chasing people down, that clerk can only realistically process about 5 invoices an hour.
Okay, when you lay it out physically like that,
Yeah.
the 15 minutes makes total sense. It is the waiting and the chasing that eats up the clock.
Exactly. And the cost to the business. This is the number that really blew my mind. When you factor in the hourly wage of the clerk, the hourly wage of the manager taking time to approve it, the cost of the software, the paper, the storage, it costs a staggering $15 to $16 for every single invoice processed this way.
That is incredible. I want to make sure I'm understanding this math. If a mid-sized business is processing, say, 1,000 invoices a month, they are spending $15,000 to $16,000 just on the administrative act of paying their bills.
Yeah.
That isn't the money they owe their vendors.
No!
That is just the hidden tax of their own internal inefficiency.
You nailed it. It is pure friction. And labor makes up 60 to 80% of those manual processing costs. You are literally paying for human time to do a highly robotic, repetitive task. So that is the before. That is the baseline we are starting from.
Right.
Now let's talk about the after. Let's look at how AI fundamentally changes this equation. The core technology driving this specific change is something called OCR.
Okay, OCR. I've seen that acronym floating around in the reports. What is the simple, non-jargon explanation of what that actually is?
Okay, think of OCR, which stands for Optical Character Recognition, as giving your computer a pair of human eyes.
Okay.
But these are eyes that can read at the speed of light. In the past, if you scanned a piece of paper into a computer, the computer just saw a flat, dumb image. It was like a photograph.
Just a grid of pixels.
Exactly. The computer didn't know if it was a picture of a dog or a picture of a text form. But OCR software actively reads the text on the page. It can look at a messy, completely unstructured invoice from a concrete supplier, instantly locate the word total, recognize the numbers next to it, and pull that data out.
So it understands what it's looking at.
Yes, it reads the vendor name, the line items, the dates, all without a human ever having to touch a keyboard.
So it is essentially doing the data entry step for you instantly.
Instantly. And because the computer is doing the reading and the data entry in a fraction of a second, the entire financial equation of the business flips upside down. The cost to process that invoice drops from $16 down to as low as $3 per invoice.
Wow. That is an enormous drop.
We're talking about potential savings of up to 80% for businesses that process a high volume of paperwork. And the processing time, it drops from that agonizing 15 minutes down to mere seconds.
Just sec.
Yeah. The software receives the email, reads the attachment using OCR, automatically checks the numbers against the original purchase order to make sure the amounts match perfectly, and then routes it directly to the right manager's digital dashboard for a simple one-click approval.
So the clerk isn't chasing anyone down.
Not at all. The system just handles the flow.
Now, hearing that, going from 15 minutes to seconds, going from $16 to $3, you would think that every single business on the planet would be doing this right now. I mean, if I owned a business, I would be implementing this yesterday.
Right.
But what does the data actually say about who is using this?
That is where it gets incredibly interesting. Let's look at the scope of this change. The data shows that while almost 60% of businesses are running some form of automation today,
What does some form mean in this context?
it usually means very basic, fragmented stuff, like maybe they have an automated out-of-office email reply, or maybe they have a simple rule in their inbox that sends all emails with the word invoice into a specific folder. That technically counts as automation. But here is the crazy statistic. Only 4% of firms say their workflows are fully automated end-to-end. Only 4%.
4%. So 96% of businesses out there are still leaving massive amounts of time and money on the table.
Yes.
They are still sitting at that desk at 9 p.m. on a Thursday.
Exactly. Which means this is a wide open opportunity. If you are listening to this right now and you haven't fully embraced these tools in your own work or your own business, you might feel like you are behind the curve.
Right, everyone feels behind.
But you are not. You are actually still incredibly early. But, and this is a big but, the window is closing quickly. The market is shifting at breakneck speed.
Oh, for sure.
The projections show that the workflow automation market is going to hit $19.6 billion by 2026.
$19.6 billion.
Billion with a B. This isn't just a passing fad. It isn't a cool new gadget that early adopters are playing with. This is a fundamental, permanent shift in the very nature of how work gets done. The analysts at places like McKinsey are projecting that generative AI.
And let's clarify generative AI real quick, just so we don't lose anyone.
Absolutely. Generative AI is the type of AI that can create original text, understand complex context, and make basic decisions based on that context. It doesn't just read a number. It understands what the document is trying to say.
Like ChatGPT.
Exactly like that. This type of AI is expected to handle 60 to 70% of routine, knowledge-heavy work in the near future.
Okay, that is a huge number. 60 to 70%. And hearing it, a $19.6 billion market, I have to be honest, it sounds very abstract.
It does.
It sounds great for massive global corporations or Wall Street firms with endless budgets.
Yeah.
But I want to ask the question on behalf of everyone listening right now. What does this actually mean for a normal person? What does this mean if I am running a local landscaping company or a mid-sized paper supply business? Or if I am just managing a small team of 5 people at a regional office? How does this giant technological wave actually hit my desk on a Tuesday morning?
That is exactly the right question to ask. Let's completely ground this trend in reality. Let's talk about the daily impact on your time and your money. Because manual labor isn't just slow and boring, it is unbelievably expensive, and it is highly error-prone.
Let's dig into that error factor, because this is something every single business owner or employee can relate to.
Oh, yeah.
The industry data shows that manual processing has an error rate of about 1.6%.
Meaning for every 100 invoices a human being types into a system, they're going to mess up at least 1 or 2 of them.
Exactly. And honestly, 1.6% sounds a little low to me if you really factor in human fatigue. Think about it. If you are on your 100th invoice of the day, it is 4 p.m., your eyes are tired, you are thinking about what to make for dinner.
You're stressed about traffic.
Right. You might accidentally type a 6 instead of an 8. Or you might put the decimal point in the wrong place. Or you might enter the invoice under the wrong vendor name because 2 vendors have really similar names.
It happens to the best of us. We are humans, not machines.
Right. A typo is the most human thing in the world.
Oh.
But earlier in the data, I saw the cost associated with fixing that typo, and I wanted to push back on it a bit.
Okay.
The data said that fixing just one of those mistakes cost the business about $53. That seems wildly high for hitting the backspace key and changing a 6 to an 8. How are they calculating that $53?
I know, it sounds totally inflated until you realize that you usually don't catch the typo while your finger is still on the keyboard.
Ah.
You catch it 3 weeks later. Think about the domino effect. Let's say you accidentally pay a vendor $8,000 instead of $800. What happens next? Well, first, the vendor notices and calls you. That phone call goes to your customer service team or your accounts payable clerk. They have to stop whatever they were currently working on to take the call. That is 10 minutes of salary right there.
Right.
Then they have to put the vendor on hold, dig through the digital files, find the original paper invoice in a filing cabinet, cross-reference it with the bank statement, and finally realize the error. They get back on the phone, apologize, and promise to fix it.
And that's more time.
Lots more. Then they have to go into the accounting software, void the original payment, issue a completely new payment, draft a formal apology email to the vendor, and notify their own manager about the discrepancy.
Okay. When you walk through the actual physical steps, the $53 makes total sense. You are paying for the time of multiple people to unearth a mistake that happened weeks ago. It is an operational nightmare.
Exactly. That $53 is the cost of wasted staff time, operational delay, and the friction of repairing a vendor relationship. Now, multiply that $53 by hundreds of invoices a month for a larger business. The costs become astronomical.
Yeah.
But here is the magic number from the research. Automation cuts these mistakes by up to 80%.
Because an AI doesn't get tired at 4 p.m.
Precisely. And AI doesn't get distracted thinking about what to cook for dinner. When the OCR technology reads a 6 on the page, it inputs a 6 into the system every single time. It doesn't have fat fingers. It doesn't skip a line. It just flawlessly executes the pattern it was trained on.
I want to highlight another scenario from the data that really stuck out to me because it is the absolute nightmare scenario for any business owner. The duplicate payment?
Oh, yes. The duplicate payment is the bane of every accounting department.
According to the research, roughly 2% of the time, manual processes result in a business paying the exact same bill twice. I was trying to figure out how that even happens. How do you accidentally pay the same person twice for the same job?
It sounds impossible.
It does, but the data explained it beautifully. It happens because of how messy communication is. Let's say you hire a contractor to fix the roof of your office. The contractor finishes the job, walks inside, and hands a physical paper invoice to your office manager.
Okay.
Then the contractor goes back to his truck, opens his laptop, and thinks, I should probably email them a copy too, just to be safe.
Oh, no. I can already see the train wreck happening.
Right. So he emails a PDF of the exact same invoice to your company's generic billing email address. So the paper copy goes into a physical tray on someone's desk. The email copy goes into a digital queue.
2 identical bombs ticking.
Exactly. On Monday, an employee named Sarah goes through the physical tray, sees the paper invoice, and processes it for payment. On Thursday, an employee named John goes through the email queue, sees the PDF attachment, assumes it hasn't been paid yet, and processes it again.
Wow.
Suddenly, you have paid $10,000 twice. And getting that money back from a vendor, it is incredibly awkward. It strains the relationship. And sometimes, if the vendor is unscrupulous or disorganized themselves, you might have to fight to get it back.
It is a massive vulnerability.
Right.
And this is exactly where AI shines. AI prevents this duplicate payment scenario entirely because it acts as an unblinking bouncer at the door of your bank account.
Right.
It cross-references everything instantly. If an invoice comes into the system, whether it is a piece of paper that got scanned or an email attachment, the AI reads the invoice number, the vendor name, and the total amount. If it sees a combination of data that it has ever seen before, it instantly throws up a red flag.
It just stops.
It stops the workflow cold. It alerts a human and says, wait, I paid this exact amount to this exact vendor 3 days ago. Are you sure you want to proceed?
It is catching the mistake before the money ever leaves the building.
Exactly. So we are talking about saving money on processing overhead, and we are talking about saving money on error reduction. But the most valuable thing this technology gives you isn't actually money.
What is it?
It is the one thing you can never buy more of: time.
Let's talk about buying back time, because the statistics on this are my absolute favorite part of the entire research stack. The data shows that mid-sized finance teams that implement these AI tools are freeing up an average of 500 staff hours a year.
Let's just pause on that number, 500 hours.
It's huge.
If you think about a standard 40-hour work week, 500 hours is 12 and a half weeks of work. That is an entire quarter of the year given back to the team. Right. And if you break it down to an individual level, the data gets even more personal. It shows that daily users of these AI tools are saving up to 15 hours per person per week. Let me repeat that because it sounds impossible. 15 hours per person per week.
That's almost 2 days.
That is nearly 2 full workdays handed back to you every single week. If you calculate the value of that time based on an average professional salary, it is roughly a value of $5,000 a month in reclaimed productivity.
Okay, but this brings up a really important question about human behavior.
Yeah.
When you give someone back 15 hours a week, what do they actually do with it?
That's the big question.
Because the fear is always that people will just sit around staring at the wall or scrolling on their phones, or worse, that the company will just fire them because they don't need them for a full 40 hours anymore. What does the day-to-day actually look like when you remove the busy work?
It completely elevates the nature of the job. People don't sit around, they do the work they were actually hired to do. Let's look at specific roles from the case studies. Let's take a sales representative, for example. What does a salesperson hate doing more than anything else?
Paperwork.
Exactly. Logging data into a CRM, a customer relationship management system. It is tedious manual data entry. They spend their Friday afternoons copying notes from their notebook into the computer.
Right.
The data shows that after adopting workflow automation to handle that data entry, sales reps suddenly spend 82% more time actually talking to customers.
Because they aren't trapped at their keyboards.
Yes, they are out in the field, grabbing coffee with clients, building trust, negotiating deals. They are doing the deeply human part of their job, which is the part that actually generates revenue for the business. They get to be salespeople again, not data entry clerks.
That makes perfect sense. I was looking at the data on human resources, too. Think about the onboarding process for a new employee. If you have ever started a new job at a traditional company, you know the nightmare I'm talking about.
Oh, the paperwork.
On your first day, they sit you in a break room and hand you a stack of 40 different paper forms to sign. You have to write your home address and your emergency contact information 10 different times. Then you wait 3 days for the IT department to set up your email account. It is a terrible first impression of a company.
It is awful. It makes you question why you took the job in the first place.
Exactly. But with automation, the time it takes to onboard a new employee is slashed by 80%. What happens is, before the person even starts, they get a link on their phone. They fill out one simple digital form. The AI takes that data and instantly populates every single document required by law.
It just maps it all over.
Yep. It automatically provisions their new company email address, sends a notification to payroll to set up their direct deposit, and schedules an orientation meeting on their calendar.
Yeah.
So when that new hire walks in the door on Monday morning, their laptop is ready, their email works, and the HR professional actually gets to spend their morning taking the new employee out to lunch, introducing them to the team, and building company culture. The HR person gets to be human.
That is a brilliant example. The technology removes the friction so the human can shine. And in operations, we touched on this with the invoices, but it bears repeating, the impact is massive.
Yeah.
We talked about how invoice approvals used to take 10 to 20 days because they were sitting on physical desks. When automation brings that down to 2 to 3 days, it doesn't just make the clerk's life easier. It fundamentally changes the entire company's cash flow.
Yeah.
Well, many vendors offer what is called an early payment discount. If you pay them within 10 days instead of 30 days, they take 2% off the bill. When your manual process takes 20 days, you literally cannot take advantage of that discount. You are physically incapable of paying fast enough.
Right, you're just too slow.
But when AI speeds up your metabolism, you suddenly capture all of those discounts, which saves the company even more money. The whole system runs hotter and faster.
Hearing all of this is great in theory. It paints a beautiful picture of the future. But if I am sitting at my desk right now listening to this, I am probably wondering, how do I actually get my hands on this without breaking my brain or my budget? Where does someone even start?
It's a fair question.
Which brings us to part 4, the opportunity. If someone wants to take action tomorrow morning, what is the step-by-step guide?
I love this transition because there is a huge misconception out there. People assume that to use AI, they need to hire a team of Silicon Valley software engineers, spend 6 months in strategy meetings, and overhaul their entire corporate infrastructure.
Sounds expensive.
It is. But you absolutely do not need to do that. In fact, you shouldn't do that. Let's break this down into an incredibly simple 4-step guide. No jargon, just practical actions you can take this week.
Okay, I am ready. Step 1.
Step 1. Pinpoint the leak. Do not, under any circumstances, try to automate your entire business overnight. That is a recipe for total chaos.
Right.
Instead, just sit down at your desk with a cup of coffee and ask yourself one simple question. Where am I losing the most time? Find the leak in your boat. What is the most boring, soul-crushing, repetitive task that you absolutely dread doing every single week?
We all have one.
We all have one. Maybe it is copying customer names from an email and pasting them into a spreadsheet. Maybe it is answering the exact same question about your return policy 50 times a day in your inbox. Maybe it is the invoice processing we've been talking about. You have to locate the specific point of friction first.
Okay, so you find the most painful task. What is step 2?
Step 2. Set a baseline. You have to measure the pain. Before you introduce a single piece of technology, you need to know what the manual process is actually costing you in reality. So the next time you have to do that boring task, I want you to literally start the stopwatch on your phone.
Oh, like actually time it.
Actually time it. How many minutes does it take you from start to finish? Let's use our accounts payable example. Time yourself. Okay, it took me exactly 15 minutes to process this one invoice. Write that number down on a sticky note and put it on your monitor.
Why the sticky note?
You need this baseline because human memory is terrible. A month from now, you need hard data to prove to yourself whether the AI tool is actually helping or if it is just a shiny distraction.
That makes total sense. You can't improve what you don't measure.
Yeah.
All right, step 3.
Step 3, run a lean proof of concept.
Okay, proof of concept. That is a very corporate-sounding phrase. Let's translate that.
Fair point. A proof of concept, often called a POC in the tech world, is really just a small, cheap test run. It is a highly controlled experiment. You don't sign a 5-year, $100,000 enterprise contract. You don't involve the whole company.
Yeah.
You go online, you find a pre-built, off-the-shelf AI tool, and there are thousands of them out there now. You sign up for the basic tier, and you test it on just that one specific task. Let's say your leak is answering repetitive customer emails. You set up a simple AI tool to draft replies for just one specific type of question, maybe just questions about shipping times, and you run it for exactly 1 week.
So very contained.
Extremely contained. You want to see if the technology actually survives contact with your real-world problems before you spend real money or disrupt your whole workflow.
Which leads directly to step 4, scale smart.
Exactly. At the end of that week, you look at your sticky note. Did the AI draft the emails well? Did it save you time compared to your manual baseline? If the answer is yes, then you keep using it. You slowly expand it to cover return policy questions too.
And if it doesn't?
If it doesn't work, if the AI is writing weird emails, or if it takes you longer to fix the AI's mistakes than it would have taken to just type it yourself, you drop it immediately, you cancel the monthly subscription, you walk away, and you try a different tool. You haven't disrupted your business, you haven't lost a massive investment, you just ran a smart, contained experiment.
I want to talk about that financial reality, though. You mentioned a monthly subscription. When people hear artificial intelligence, they automatically think expensive. They imagine complex servers and massive upfront costs. Is this actually affordable for a normal person?
The landscape has completely changed in the last 2 years. You do not need $1 million budget. Today, pre-built AI tools software that is ready to use right out of the box, just like downloading a weather app on your phone, can cost as little as $200 a month for a business, and sometimes even less for an individual user just looking for basic functions.
$200 a month is incredibly accessible. That is less than a lot of people's car payments.
Right. And when you are looking at that $200, you have to look at it through the lens of your ROI.
Let's break down ROI for anyone who isn't an accountant.
ROI stands for return on investment. It simply means if I give you $1, how quickly do I get that dollar back and how much profit comes with it? Let's do the math on this AI tool. If you spend $200 a month on a piece of software, but that software saves you 15 hours of manual data entry a month. Let's say your time or your employee's time is valued at $50 an hour.
Okay, let's do the math.
15 hours multiplied by $50 is $750. So you spent $200 to save $750. You are immediately $550 in the green every single month. Your return on investment is massive and immediate.
That's amazing.
The industry data we are looking at points out that over half of businesses see a full return on their money in just 12 to 18 months, even when they're installing larger, more complex automation systems that cost more upfront. The math is undeniable. It pays for itself by giving you back your time.
It is a remarkable opportunity. But I think it's time for a reality check. We have spent the last half hour talking about the incredible benefits, the massive time saved, the elegant error reduction, the cheap tools. We have painted a very rosy picture. But what are the actual challenges? Because nothing in business is all sunshine and perfectly processed invoices. This is a massive societal shift, and it has to come with real growing pains.
You are absolutely right, and we have to be completely honest about the challenges. Let's start with the big picture, the societal impact. The reports we are looking at show a very heavy statistic. 43% of businesses explicitly state that they plan to reduce their workforce through automation.
Yeah, 43%. That is almost half of businesses saying, we are going to buy software and we are going to let humans go.
Yes, it is a sobering number. And when you see data like that, it is completely understandable why 75% of the public says they are worried that this rapid adoption of AI will widen income inequality. It brings up a very real fear. When a computer can do the data entry job of 3 clerks, what happens to those 3 clerks?
It is a profound challenge.
Yeah.
Now, the optimistic economic view is that historically, every major technological revolution, from the printing press to the internet, has automated certain roles away, but created entirely new categories of jobs in parallel.
Exactly.
My theory is that humans are elevated from doing robotic tasks to doing higher value, more creative, more strategic work. But that transition period, that messy middle where people have to retrain and find new footing, that is difficult, and the fear surrounding it is very valid.
It is. But beyond those macroeconomic societal fears, there are also immediate day-to-day operational risks for anyone using this technology right now. Let's talk about the golden rule of computer science. It is a rule that has been around for decades, but it applies to modern AI more than anything else. Garbage in, garbage out.
Explain exactly how that applies to an AI system, because I think people assume AI is somehow smart enough to fix our garbage.
That is the trap. AI is not inherently wise, it doesn't have a moral compass, and it doesn't have common sense. It is just an incredibly powerful, incredibly fast pattern-matching engine. It follows rules based entirely on the data you feed it. If you give an AI bad information, it makes bad decisions.
And fast.
Exactly. Because it is an AI, it makes those bad decisions much, much faster than a human ever could. If your historical data is flawed, or if your instructions to the AI are vague, the system will confidently execute the wrong action 1,000 times a second.
It is like giving a sports car to a toddler. It can go very fast, but it doesn't know where the cliff is.
Exactly. And the sources we are looking at today are full of famous and frankly very costly failures that illustrate exactly what happens when businesses forget this rule, or when they trust the AI too much too soon.
Oh, I love these cautionary tales. We have to talk about the fast food drive-through bot.
Yes. This is a perfect example of lacking common sense. A major fast food chain decided they wanted to fully automate their drive-through ordering. They implemented an AI voice assistant to replace the human worker wearing the headset.
Okay.
The idea was that you pull up to the speaker, you talk to the AI, it takes your order, and you drive forward. But the AI completely crumbled when it faced the messy reality of the real world. It couldn't handle the nuance of human speech, the sound of a diesel truck idling in the background, or a customer changing their mind mid-sentence.
Right, like when you say, I'll take a burger. No, wait, make it a chicken sandwich. A human understands that instantly.
But the AI didn't. This failure actually went viral on the internet because the bot was malfunctioning so badly that it was adding hundreds of items to single orders. There's a famous video where a customer orders a meal, the bot mishears something and starts adding chicken nuggets. The customer says, "Wait, stop, I don't want that." And the bot interprets the audio as another request for nuggets. It just kept adding them. It got up to hundreds of chicken nuggets on the screen. It was a massive embarrassment for the brand.
It is funny to watch, but it highlights a really serious mechanical flaw in the technology.
Yeah.
The AI lacked context. A human teenager working the drive-thru inherently knows that nobody in a Honda Civic wants 300 orders of chicken nuggets.
Right.
The human would stop and ask for clarification. The AI just blindly processed the garbled audio input and executed the command. It had no safety valve for absurdity.
Exactly. Now, that example is funny, but let's look at a failure that had actual hard legal consequences. The airline chatbot.
This story blew my mind when I read it in the research.
It is fascinating. An airline put a generative AI chatbot on their public website to answer customer questions. A passenger went to the site and asked the chatbot about the airline's bereavement discount policy.
Which is a very sensitive topic.
Highly sensitive. This is a special discounted fare for people who have to travel suddenly due to a death in their family. The AI chatbot, which was programmed to be conversational and overly helpful, didn't actually know the exact policy, so it did what AI sometimes does when it doesn't know the answer. It hallucinated.
Let's explain hallucination in this context, because it is a vital concept for anyone using AI.
Right. When we say an AI hallucinates, we mean it confidently invents fake information. Remember, a generative AI, like a chatbot, is essentially just a highly advanced version of the predictive text on your cell phone. It is predicting what the next word in the sentence should be based on patterns.
So it's guessing.
It's guessing. In this case, the bot completely made up a fake policy. It told the grieving passenger, "Don't worry, you can buy a full-price ticket right now to get to the funeral, and then apply for a retroactive refund later, and we will refund you the difference."
Which is a lovely sentiment, but it was completely against the airline's actual legally binding rules.
Right. The airline's real rule was that you had to secure the discount before you bought the ticket. You couldn't get a refund after the fact. But the passenger trusted the bot. They took a screenshot of the chatbot's advice, bought the expensive ticket, flew, and then later asked for their refund. The airline looked at the requests and said, "No, absolutely not. That is not our policy. The bot made a mistake. Request denied."
And the passenger didn't back down.
No, the passenger took the airline to a legal tribunal, and here is where it gets incredibly important for business owners. The tribunal ruled against the airline.
Wow.
The judge stated that the airline is fully responsible for all the information presented on its website, including the information generated by its own artificial intelligence. They couldn't just blame the algorithm and walk away. The bot was acting as an official representative of the company. The airline was legally forced to honor the fake policy and pay damages to the passenger.
That is a terrifying legal precedent for a company. If you put a bot on your site, you are legally liable for whatever weird promises it decides to make to your customers. But I know there is a third example in the data that is even more serious, because it doesn't just deal with plane tickets. It deals with human livelihoods and compliance laws.
Yes. This is the story of the AI hiring software. An international tutoring company decided to use an algorithm to automatically screen job applicants. They got thousands of resumes, and they wanted the AI to filter out the bad ones and only forward the top candidates to human interviewers.
Makes sense on paper.
But remember our rule, garbage in, garbage out.
No.
To teach the AI what a good candidate looked like, the company fed it years and years of their own historical hiring data. They said, look at who we hired in the past and find more people like them.
Which sounds logical on the surface.
It sounds illogical until you realize that human history is full of bias. Without anyone realizing it, the company's historical data showed a pattern of predominantly hiring younger candidates. The AI looked at the data and learned that pattern. It didn't know why younger people were hired. It just saw that age correlated with success in the data set. So it began systematically and automatically screening out older applicants. It was inadvertently programmed to be ageist.
It wasn't malicious. It was just a pattern matching machine executing a flawed pattern.
Exactly. But the intent doesn't matter to the law. The consequences were severe. The company was sued for age discrimination. They had to pay a massive $365,000 legal settlement because their AI violated anti-discrimination laws. They assumed the algorithm was a neutral, objective judge, but it was really just acting as a mirror, reflecting the hidden biases in the data they gave it.
Okay, so hearing all of this, the 300 chicken nuggets, the bot making up fake refund policies, the massive legal fines for discrimination. If I am a small business owner listening to this, I am probably terrified right now.
Totally fair.
I might want to throw my computer out the window, buy a new filing cabinet, and go back to doing paper invoices by hand. How do we square the incredible benefits we talked about earlier with these very real, very scary risks?
Please do not throw your computer out the window, because there's a very simple, elegant safety net that prevents almost all of these disasters from ever happening.
Yes, let's talk about the solution. It is a concept mentioned throughout the research called human in the loop. And this is probably the most important concept for anyone starting out with automation to understand.
Absolutely. Human in the loop means exactly what it sounds like. You never, ever let the computer make the final high-stakes decision without a human being double-checking the work. The AI is your eager intern. It is not your boss, and it is not your CEO.
Right. You wouldn't let an intern sign a $10,000 check without looking at it first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I really want to reassure everyone listening, especially the beginners who are just starting to experiment with these tools, you do not have to hand over the keys to your entire business to an algorithm. Starting small and keeping a human strictly in the loop is not a sign of weakness. It is completely fine. And in fact, it is the recommended best practice across the industry.
Let's look at how this works in practice.
Sure. Let's say you use an AI tool to help with your customer service emails. You don't let the AI automatically reply to angry customers. You use the AI to draft the email. The software reads the customer's complaint, it analyzes the tone, it references your actual return policy, and it types out a beautiful, polite, highly detailed response. It saves you 10 minutes of agonizing over what to write, but then it stops.
It hands the baton back to the human.
Yes. You read the draft, you make sure it makes sense, you make sure it isn't offering a fake refund like the airline bot, and then you physically push the send button.
Or, going back to our very first example with the accounts payable clerk, the OCR software does the heavy lifting. It scans the messy invoice, it reads the numbers, it checks the math, and it matches it to the purchase order. It does all the tedious data entry in 2 seconds.
Right.
But before that money actually leaves your corporate bank account, the invoice is routed to a human manager's digital dashboard. The manager looks at the summary screen, verifies that everything looks normal, and they physically click the approve button. The human is firmly in the loop.
This approach gives you the absolute best of both worlds. You get the incredible speed, the massive cost savings, and the tireless efficiency of the machine. But you keep the common sense, the contextual empathy, and the legal responsibility of the human being. The AI does the busy work, the human makes the final decision.
I think that is the perfect place to land the plane today. As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one clear, simple message. If you are driving right now or walking the dog, and you forget every single statistic and percentage we just talked about, if you forget the $19 billion market cap and the 1.6% error rates, just try to remember this one core truth. AI isn't here to take your job. It is here to take your busy work.
I love that.
It is a tool. It is a highly advanced lever designed to remove the friction from your day so you can finally focus on the things that only a human can do.
I think that's exactly right. And I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day. I want you to really visualize your work week. Think about the one task that you absolutely dread doing every single week. You know exactly what it is.
We all do.
It's the task that makes you sigh out loud when you open your laptop on a Tuesday morning. Now, imagine if a simple $200 AI tool could take that specific task completely off your plate by next Monday morning. It is just gone, handled. What brilliant, creative, deeply human thing would you do with those 15 extra hours?
That's the real question.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.